We will
They're
go ahead and
there.
call this meeting to order.
Well, they're there just for the board game. So,
Before we go through with the remainder of the agenda, we'll go around the table with quick introductions, just to introduce all the new board members. My name is Jillian Orisby. I've been on the library board, this will be my 5th year, and I have served the past 2 years as a library board chair.
My name is Jennifer Griswold. I've worked for the library for 18 years, 9 of those as the director, and I am the current chair of the Intellectual Freedom Roundtable for the American Library Association.
Hi everyone, I'm Oscar Flores. I'm new to the board and I'm currently working at UFCU.
Hi everybody, I'm Sarah Eddy. This is my 2nd year on the library board.
Hi, my name is Mia Medina, and I'm new to the library board, and I currently work for No Kid Hungry, Texas.
Hi, my name is Jay Jenkins. I'm from Huntington High School. This is my 1st year at the library.
I'm Kim Reist. I'm here representing the Friends of the Pflugerville Library. This is a nonprofit that supports the library. I serve currently as the treasurer on that board.
how's it going? My name is Matt Robertson. I think this is my 5th year on the board as well. Yeah.
Sean Mann, first year on the board. I'm a software developer for our boring software company.
Jocelyn Frankie, first year on the board as well, and I work for a national research firm in their education studies division.
And I'm Daniel Vera. I'm the assistant here at the library.
Oh, right, of course. I'm Tiara, and I do marketing and outreach at the library, so, yeah.
Hi, sorry. My name's Madison. I'm an alternate.
Okay?
We're doing public comment before.
There is no public
Okay,
comment.
no public comment this evening. And then, now we have our presentation regarding board commission, committee policy, and procedure.
Hello. Hi guys, I'm Trista. I'm the city secretary. Also, I want to give you all a heads up. Here tonight with us is the Youth Advisory Council. They're sitting back there, so we may have another couple people coming in late, so bear with us. They are here with the city to learn about local government, and they're here to observe your wonderful board. I am here to teach you how to be on a board. For those of you who have sat through this presentation before, please bear with me. A refresher is always good. For those of you who have not, I do talk very fast naturally, and I've done this presentation a handful of times, so I tend to run through it without meaning to. Don't hesitate to stop me and ask any questions. You can ask me after, you can send me an email. Always happy to help you out. I know that I can power through this really quickly, so I'll try not to go too terribly fast. First, a quick overview on the city itself. We are a home rule city council manager form of government. Great, what does that mean? It means we have a city charter that determines our laws and rules. And then the council manager, think about CEO and board of directors. The council's board of directors, the city manager is the CEO. So the council determines policy and direction. The city manager makes it happen. What is your role? Boards and commissions can be created by the city council for whatever purpose they deem fit. And then the rules of each board are determined by how it's created. So each board has some slightly different rules, different requirements. They're all created differently depending on what they need to do. Code of conduct. You've all received at one point or another the resolution determining the code of conduct. This was adopted by resolution by the city council. It is for all appointed and elected officials, which means it's their own code of conduct as well as yours. And it's really to make sure that we have a designated, clear line of fair, ethical, accountable local government, things that we can point to make sure that we're all on the same page. So I'm going to hit some high level of kind of all those bullet points. If you want more specific details, it's in that resolution. Or again, reach out to me, happy to talk through any of it. These first ones are pretty straightforward. Act in public interest. You're here for the entirety of the city. Comply with the law. I think that's a general good sort of life code of conduct. Conduct of members, be on time, show up, be present. Respect for the process involves the way that we set up communication with board and staff. The process is there for a reason. I'll get into some of that a little bit later. If you have questions about why it's a certain way, please ask. We're happy to talk to you about that as well. And then use of electronics. I think that's fairly straightforward. Conducted business in open. We're going to talk about the Open Meetings Act here in a moment to dig into that. Decisions based on merit is exactly that. If someone comes in with a request, make any decision based on the merit of that request, not necessarily on the person or organization or whatever making the request. Share relevant information. If you hear something outside of this immediate venue that might be relevant to something the board is discussing, share it. Share it with staff so they can share it with the rest of the board. Share it in a meeting like this if it's about a topic that you all are discussing. If you know something, go ahead and share it. Conduct of public meetings, and we're gonna get into that also. Conflict of interest. I'm gonna say with almost certainty you won't have to deal very much with understanding conflict of interest. This is also where I put up these 2 slides and let you read it. It's a very specific legal requirement that has to do with whether or not you are financially involved in a business entity coming to the city for a request. So if you see something come up that you think there might be a conflict of interest, feel free to reach out to me. I will point you to the legal code where it's described. I cannot give you advice because that is for your own personal conflict of interest, but I can certainly help you read through the law. Gifts and favors. Some people like to give gifts, vendors like to give gifts. We appreciate it. The general rule is nothing over $50 in value can be accepted, with the understanding we don't want anything to appear to be seeking some sort of favor from the board. So if there's any sort of concern or question of if I accept this, will it look bad, then just say no thank you. Confidential information is confidential. If you receive anything confidential, please keep it so, for I believe obvious reasons. Use of resources. What this means is that you don't have special access to things that the rest of the residents of Pflugerville have. So you have the same use of city resources, city facilities that anyone else would have. Certainly you get some more staff time than some people do because you're on the board, and so the library staff is of course going to be doing work for the board, but be mindful that for the general purpose, your use is the same as everyone else's. Representation of private interests. This is another one. I'm just going to read what it says. So shall not appear before your own body or council on behalf of the private interest of third parties on matters related to the areas of service of their body. If you have questions about that, come talk to me. Advocacy. Represent the official positions of the board to the best of your ability, with the reminder that you speak for yourself, not the board, unless you've been officially designated as the spokesperson for the board. The board acts as one, and so if there is a vote, that is how the board voted. If you are speaking for yourself, just make that abundantly clear that you are speaking as and for yourself. Policy rules, follow the rules. There's lots of policies in place. I think you all probably have some of the best, very specific policies. Just follow them. This independence of boards, this is saying that council can't come in and tell you how to do something. They can't come in and say, I want you to vote this way. So this is their way of showing you that you are an independent board and you are bringing recommendations to them for them to do with as they will. Positive and constructive environment, always. Personal political advocacy. When endorsing or opposing a City of Pflugerville ballot or a candidate, you cannot use your title as a board member. You must do so as a purely private citizen. Social media. That's going to kind of go back into that same discussion about advocacy and talking for the board. Just be mindful that line of when you stop being a board member and when you start being a private citizen can sometimes be a little bit blurry. So just be mindful of that on social media, especially how that can go. If the news media comes and asks a question to you, please feel free to direct them to our communications department. We have a fabulous communications department. They are absolutely stellar. They can help with the news media if they have any specific questions. Again, if you've been designated as a spokesperson, they will be helping you with that. And if you want to speak as an individual, feel free to do so. You just have to make it abundantly clear that you are speaking as an individual and not as a representative of the board. I will always encourage direct them to our communications department, because if they have a question, our department probably already has an answer. So, any questions on code of conduct? Awesome. Open Meetings Act. If you haven't taken the video training yet, please do. It's an hour-long video or so from the Attorney General's office. They are in charge of the Open Meetings Act. What is it? It basically states that all of our meetings will be held open. Every vote will be taken in the public, and there will be a record of such. What constitutes a meeting is a quorum of the body where public business is discussed, whether or not there's action taken. We conduct all of our board and committee and commission meetings in accordance with the Open Meetings Act. If you dig into it, it provides specific definitions of what constitutes a governmental body, and you can get nitpicky on which ones need to be where. In the interest of transparency, all of our boards and commissions follow the Open Meetings Act. Written notice is required. It has to be posted 72 hours in advance, with the items on the agenda being transparent enough for someone to know what is being talked about. So that's the agenda in front of you that is required to be posted on our bulletin board and also on our website. If for some reason I don't post that agenda on time, we'll be reaching out to you to say, sorry, I messed up, and we have to push the meeting. We can't hold it anyway. We have to delay it until it meets that 72-hour requirement. And that is 72 hours to the minute on the dot. If a meeting is held when an agenda was not appropriately posted, basically anything that happened in that meeting is void. It doesn't count. An open session is this. This is an open session. Anyone can walk in, anyone can listen, anyone can walk out. The minutes are kept. It's a public record. These minutes are kept online. I have a record of them also. The videos that we take are kept for 2 years so that you can go back and watch it in extreme detail if you feel so inclined. The other kind of session is an executive session, which I don't think you guys would ever have any reason to hold. What this is when there's something that needs to be discussed that cannot be discussed in the open for very specific legal reasons. That includes consultation with attorney, real property deliberations, economic development negotiations, personnel matters, and then if it's related to security personnel or security systems. In an executive session, that happens behind closed doors. It's not recorded. Minutes aren't really taken. It's called a certified agenda. So a person in that meeting takes very limited notes of here's what we talked about in general. But if any action has to be taken, they have to come back out into an open session and take action there. They have to make the motion, do any votes in public. But if those specific confidential discussions have to happen, they don't happen out in the open. So what is not a meeting? Social functions that are not related to public business, that's not a meeting. Attendance at a convention or workshop, ceremonial event, or press conference, that is not a meeting. Even if a quorum of you are together, there's still no formal action or discussion. And this is where I stop and say, count to 4. If there's 4 of you in one spot, be the one to walk away. Because if you are in a quorum, chances are the one thing you know for sure you have in common is serving on this board. So if you start talking about business, even if you're not in a meeting, that can start being a violation of the Open Meetings Act. So count to 4, walk away if you're that 4th one. Any questions about open meetings? Awesome. Okay, my last piece is Public Information Act, and this one is quite brief. The Public Information Act states that anything we do is public information, right? We are here for the public, we work for the public, therefore our records are for the public. There are, of course, exceptions to this. We can't release everything. There's confidential information, but the default is records are public. So this is especially triggered when someone submits an open records request, and this is for items that are already in existence. So what is a record for the government? It's anything. Anything in transaction with the business of the city, regardless of whether it's physical or digital, what device it's on, whose device it's on, whose device it's on. So that means that you may start being in some sort of ownership of some government record. And I keep saying I need to change this over because I want to tell you the solution before I tell you the problem. As long as staff is copied, as long as when you email staff, as long as the emails you receive are from staff, if you forward things to staff, you will never have to hear from me again about records because we will already have it. If I get an open records request for something, we will always start in our own files, in our own emails. So if you keep staff copied, you're golden. Anything you receive from staff, we already have. Anything you send to staff, we already have. So if you're sending it to someone, send something to someone who is not staff, go ahead and copy someone on staff, or forward it to staff after the fact if you receive something. And avoid texting for city business. If it's a quick text to say, hey, I'm 5 minutes late, that's fine. That's not what I'm talking about. But if you start having sort of in-depth board discussions over text, transfer that over to email because that's easier to forward. If I do get an open records request of, I want whatever, all correspondence of the library board, I will come to you and I will say, I'll email you and I'll say, do you have any records that aren't in our city staff email? If you say yes, I'm gonna ask for a copy of it. That'll be either forward me an email, send me a screenshot of a text, whatever that means. I'm gonna ask for a copy. I will never take anything of yours. I don't want it. You'll just send it to me. Or you'll sign a piece of paper that says, I don't have anything else that you have. Anything that mixing, if you do happen to have something on your personal device, that mixing of personal and library board, it stays separate. So records on personal devices that are not related to city business will never be responsive to an open records request because by definition, it is not in connection with the transaction of the business of the city. So it is not a record as far as we're concerned. Notes that you take in the board meetings, those aren't records, those are notes, unless you start getting into, if you start writing something like a report to talk about your decision of why you want to do something, I would recommend not doing that. But if you do, save it, give it to staff, right? Just be mindful of what you're doing. If you have any specific questions about like, hey, is this something I need to keep? Come ask me. And if you are very interested, the Texas State Library and Archives Commission is our retention schedule. So they determine how long we have to keep everything. They determine whether or not something is, so they're all records, but we don't have to keep all of them. Sometimes it's as long as administratively valuable is the records retention, which means when you're done with it, it's trash, which would be like some notes that you might take on the agenda tonight of reminding yourself or keeping some things in your head. That's just for you. So when you're done with it, you can throw it away. We don't need to go over that. This is my contact information. I'm very easy to find. You all already have my contact information because I've already talked to all of you at least once. You can also talk to Ashley. She's my deputy city secretary. If I'm not available, she's there. That email and that phone number goes to both of us. So one of us is almost always available. Do you have any questions for me? Okay. If you decide that you do, you can find me.
Thank you, Trista. Next up will be the discussion and consideration of electing officers to the library.
I know that we have a lot of new people, and but it is in the charter that we have to, first meeting of the new calendar year, we have to elect officers. So each board and commission has a chair and a vice chair. So that's what you would be deciding on tonight. Those two positions are yearly, so there would be another election in the following year. I looked today actually at the charter and I didn't see any limitation on how many years somebody could be chair. I mean, there are limitations to how many years you can be on the board and how many times, but I didn't see anything with the officers. So that is what we're going to be doing. So essentially what we will need is for somebody to make a motion to, you can nominate yourself or you can nominate somebody else on the board. You just have to say, you know, I nominate so-and-so. And then we'll need a second and then we take a vote. And it's just a raise of hands or verbal. Okay. So I'll open it up to nominations. I'm looking at you, Matt.
God, it just looks at me because I'm always the loudest. I would like to nominate myself as chairperson. I haven't got a chance yet. Jillian's done an amazing job the past 2 years, but I would like the opportunity to lead the library board at least once during my tenure. So I would like to nominate myself.
Okay. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Jillian's like, I'm done. All those in favor? Say aye.
Well,
Passed by acclamation.
is there anybody else? I think we.
No, I was going to second her.
Oh, well, I mean,
Oh,
are there any other nominations?
Anybody else want to nominate themselves or someone else? I'm sorry, he's right, and I completely screwed that up. No? Okay. So now you have to call for nominations for vice chair.
Do we have any nominations for vice chair? Does anybody feel like they want to step into that position? It's very exciting.
It is glamorous.
I can nominate myself
Okay.
since it's my second year, unless you want to do it. But you seem like you're done.
I'm good.
Okay.
Do I have a second?
I will second.
Okay.
Are there any other nominations? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Motion carries unanimously.
Okay. Thank you guys for being willing to serve in that capacity. Okay. So it's me now, okay. Oh, no, it's not, it's you, Matt. Board minutes.
So if you guys could take a look at the minutes from our last meeting. If anybody has any questions or concerns. Once you guys have had a chance to review that, if we could get a motion to approve the minutes as listed.
Motion to approve the minutes?
I second. Are there any other comments or questions? All those in favor of accepting the minutes as presented, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. Motion carries unanimously. And now we are on to the director's report.
Okay, so each board meeting, I will send out the director's report, and it's got the stats, which are kind of boring. But you'll need those later, so we do pay attention to those. And then a little synopsis of some of the programs that that I'm highlighting for the previous month. We do about 150 programs, I think, a month, so can't put them all on here. But, so that's what this report is. I also wanted to give you guys a little more information about the board and some of the things that you guys are going to be involved in. So last year, the library board voted to formally support the library Bill of Rights and the Freedom to Read statement. Those are available. I can send them out to you, or they're available online. You can just Google the Library Bill of Rights. It's not a law, but in 1938, the American Library Association adopted these, the Library Bill of Rights, and wrote the Freedom to Read statement to combat censorship and oppression of minority voices by certain factions. So the American Library Board came out and said, you know, we believe that everybody has a right to access whatever information that they want, and that public libraries in particular have an obligation to provide many points of view that reflect not just the community, but the larger global community. So, that is a little 101 on the Bill of Rights and the Freedom to Read statement. What the library board does, you will assist with writing the policy. Every year we go over the library policies. You will have an opportunity to provide advice and feedback. It is an advisory board, so may or may not adopt that, but generally, you know, the advice hasn't been bad so far, so we've put it in there. And then we also do a 5-year plan every year, and that we have to turn into the city council. It's sort of your end of year report. So we turn that in generally in November. It's really not due until December 30th, but I like to I'm one of those people that always turn their assignment in early because I just don't want it hanging over our heads. So there's that. We do publish our policies and our strategic plan, or a 5-year plan rather, online. So it's accessible to everybody, and they can, they're free to take a look at all of that. And then each year, although I think we skipped 1 year, the library board conducts a library happiness survey, and it's actually out there right now. The survey will be closing at the end of this month, I think.
Yes.
Yeah. And Kiara will put one more little notice out on social media about it. We also have print copies of it for those people that don't do social media. Okay, do y'all have any questions?
One thing in the numbers, I think there might be a correction with the date, December 2025 hasn't happened yet.
You are correct. And, well, yeah, it was 25. Okay, so our fiscal year is weird. It runs from October to September. So it always seems like we're a year ahead, but that's because we're talking about the fiscal year. So we are currently in fiscal year 26, and I did not correct that on here. Okay, any other questions? Okay. We're pretty informal here, so you know, if you have an idea, or you know, feel free to speak out. I have my cards over here. If anybody wants information or anything, you can text me, email me, call me anytime. Oh, 5-year plan. I will ask for 3 people to be on the 5-year plan committee, and that's usually the chair and vice chair and one other person. It does not constitute a quorum, so it's not considered an open meeting, but we will do the sort of grunt work of the 5-year plan, and then we bring it to the board so that we're not spending, you know, 6 hours raking over mine not putting a semicolon in. I'm really bad at grammar, so, and punctuation, so.
It's important to
buckle
note
up.
that the meetings are Zoom too, so you won't have to come in for another meeting.
Yeah, we do those online. Okay.
Kimberly, the Friends of the Library report, if you could tell the new members what the Friends of the Library is.
Yeah, let me give you just a little bit of history about the group, so not everyone's aware of who we are and exactly what our relationship is to the library. The original Friends group started in 1981 when there was no library in Pflugerville, and did a lot of fundraising, volunteer work, and eventually were able to donate the land that the library sits on now. And ever since then, we have continued to support the library. We support them now, but more with, we take donations, we do book sales. If you've ever been to a book sale at the library, that's us, we're running that. And then we've also, through memberships, the funds that we raise from that, we use to support library programs. Almost any library program you can think of where we support. So that's what we do now, that's what we did in the past. We've had an influx of new members, and we had a really fantastic year in 2024. We basically doubled our income and came in well underneath our expenses. So our membership is up, but we're much busier than we have been, and we're also currently looking for an outreach coordinator. So if there's anyone who's interested or knows anyone who's interested, and maybe that person would be sort of a point person for volunteers. We have a lot of people that have expressed an interest in volunteering at our book sales or other events, or helping to support library events too, because we supply and also volunteer at the library events. If you know anybody who's interested in kind of being the point person and the contact, the manager for that, I can hang out after the meeting. Just come and talk to me, and we can talk about it. Let me know if you know that person or you are that person. Upcoming activities, and the next book sale, the first book sale of 2025 is January the 23rd. It'll be right here in the library, out in the Great Hall, so please come by. And please consider a membership. If you purchase a membership with the Friends, you're supporting the programs at the library, and you get 5 free books at every book sale, so that's a pretty good deal. And then we have a board meeting for members that any members are allowed to attend, and our next board meeting is going to be on Tuesday the 21st at 4 p.m. It's always the 3rd Tuesday of every month. And again, open to all Friends members. So if you have any questions, there's actually another Friends person here too. I don't know if he's going to be able to hang out, but I can hang out for a few minutes after the meeting in case you have any questions. And that's the report. If you have any questions, I'm happy to take them. All right.
Thank you. On to the next item, agenda item, discussing the legislation affecting libraries.
Okay, so the 89th legislature convenes on the 14th, which is Tuesday. Is it Tuesday or Monday? It's the 14th. It's next week. There are a lot of proposed bills that will be going before the House and the Senate that deal with libraries. Y'all have probably heard about some of them in the news. Not all of them are going to be directed at public libraries. The majority of them are directed towards school libraries, and some junior college and some academic libraries also will be affected by some of these bills. It's been my experience that what starts in the school libraries will eventually bleed over into public libraries. So there are some bills that will affect the library if they're passed. Most of them they brought forth during the 88th legislature, and they did not pass. So I imagine if they do pass this year, there will be some tweaking, maybe. I don't know. I'll be paying attention to it, though, and be reporting to you guys on that. I've included a little, because I now know more than I ever wanted to know about legislation, I included a little outline of the flow, the workflow of the bills. Also, there is a link on here that's really nice. I'll send it out to you. I think I might have already sent it out to you guys, but I'll do it again. That the Texas Library Association has, where they're tracking those bills for you, so you don't have to go weeding through the online Texas legislature thing, which is really cumbersome to use. So they have it all there for you, and they'll do the updates with the date on when they were updated. So that's coming. We'll talk about it more at the next meeting, but I think the biggest concern that I have with legislation that is being proposed is the lack of parameters. So you have legislation that's being proposed to take out what's being referred to as a loophole, the Miller test, and that is a test that the Supreme Court used, and I won't go into the case law of it because I'll probably be totally wrong on it, but it's basically the test that libraries have used for many years to determine whether something would be considered obscene or of period interest only, with no literary value. So if that sort of measuring system that we have is taken away, I don't know what the parameters will be, because they haven't said, now we're going to use this test or anything like that. So that's one of our difficulties that I'm seeing in some of this legislation. But I don't want you guys to just take my opinion. And young people, I encourage you to look at legislation in the state and make up your own mind. So, Texas Legislature Online, you can go to that. I do recommend, if you're interested in just the part about libraries, that you look at the TLA site, just because they've whittled it down pretty. It's a direct feed from the Texas Legislature Online, so it's not like they're putting their opinions in it or anything. It's just a direct feed. Yeah. And that's, does anybody have any questions or comments? No? Okay.
All right.
I keep thinking she's our chair still.
We'll get into the student liaisons report. So we do try to get students from each of the high schools in Pflugerville to give a report on the going-ons in their schools and the libraries. And we have Jade here. Jade, what's going on at Hendrickson?
We're gonna be soon having our 8th grade invasion. It's where middle schoolers come and they see the high school and see what they want to do, and how some courses and in their high school future and stuff.
So do they always get amazed when they come see the high school library?
Yeah, and they also see other clubs and organizations at our school as well. They get more open to that, so that's one opportunity they get as an 8th grader that's coming to high school.
Thank you.
Yeah.
You guys got any questions for Jane? All right, we will move on. Tiara is the marketing and outreach person for the library. Tiara?
Hi, thank you. So just a little bit about me. So I do the marketing and outreach for the library. So that involves running the social media platforms. I come up with campaigns for some of our larger events and for our new resources. And then I also do outreach in the community, which involves going out to, for example, schools, partnering with local nonprofits, et cetera, and sharing library resources. That can look all sorts of different ways. So since the new year has started, I've been getting back in contact with some of our partners. I sent out a mass email actually last week, and I asked if anybody would be interested in partnering again, and I already got 2 requests, which is awesome. And I am always open to working with different community groups, so I know the kind of people who sign up for library boards are also generally pretty engaged in their communities. So if you ever have any suggestions or any knowledge that's within, boundaries of being on a board, then feel free to let me know. Lucas actually reached out to me about a career fair that would be happening at Hendrickson, so I applied to be in it. So things like that I would love to be aware of.
You want to mention the mascot?
Oh, yes, of course. So for those who are new, we've been workshopping the idea of a mascot for the past few meetings. And we're hoping to maybe get a vote on that, if that would be something you guys would be interested in. I've spoken with the communications department with it, and anything that we did decide upon would have to be finalized in the city manager's office. But I think people that I've spoken with about the idea seem to have been receptive, as long as we, go through the proper channels, design it well, things like that. So Matt had a lot of feedback. Do you have anything you'd like to share about it?
I think we settled on, I think we like the Firefly the best.
Yes.
And I can't remember the name.
Was it Flash?
Flash.
Flash,
A
the
Flash.
Firefly?
The Flash.
Puff Flash. So that's the leader right now in the mascot category. And one of the new board members has to wear the mascot costume. So. Perfect. Just kidding.
Yes.
If you want to send out the different ones I had to choose from again, so that they can make it informed.
Yeah, definitely.
It's an important decision.
Yeah, definitely. I'll be reaching out, and I'll send the packet that we are looking over, and then we can discuss it next time.
Are we looking to vote on that next month? Okay. Exciting. And then I think the last thing is we didn't do public comment. Did we have any public comment?
There was no public comment. Yeah,
Okay.
she did it. I was probably just.
I missed it. So welcome all the new board members. It's great to see so many new faces. Thank you guys for coming. As you find your footing and get integrated in the library board, if you want to see anything on the agenda or discuss anything, send it to Jennifer ahead of time so that we can put it on the agenda officially, and then it can be discussed in the meeting.
The agenda has to be posted 72 hours before the meeting, and that is not 3 business days. It's actual 72 hours. So generally, I like to have it complete into the city secretary's office on the Thursday before the next meeting by 3. So just in case I have to do, and I do all the time. I'm like, oh, I screwed up. I have to do this. So that gives me a little wiggle room for getting people's names right. All right?
Does anybody have any questions?
Yes.
Oh.
Okay, I just had I maybe you talked about this at the beginning, but are there any events over the next couple months that we can be talking about with people that are interested in volunteering, or any way we can support before the next meeting?
There is Winterfest coming up this Saturday. So as far as getting volunteers for that, I think Carmen said that she had enough, but getting the word out about that would be great. After that, we have Romance Readers Social and that's for 18 and up, and that is in February, so that'll be a lot of fun. March, we have Pet Fest. So, yeah, I'd be glad to send you guys some info on the big events coming up. Yes?
And then a couple of things if you're out in the community. So we have Teen Job Fair on March 1st, just so y'all teens know. But we're seeking employers that are based in like the Pflugerville area. So if you know anybody that's open to hiring teens, or maybe there's like a workforce program, then have them send them over to Melissa Grzybowski, and she's the one that's coordinating that. We're also looking for people for homeschool fair, so nonprofits that service like homeschoolers, so like maybe co-ops or educational groups, and those go through Carmen.
Last year's Pet Fest, we had alpaca, I'm just saying, in the meeting room. It smelled like alpacas for a while.
For a while.
Yeah, a long while. But we did have the carpets cleaned. You can't tell because they're messy again. But okay, and you had a question?
Yeah, I just had a question about the student liaisons. Are the other high schools represented, or is it just that Hendrickson had volunteers show up?
Yeah, we just had, well, they're not, we don't have anybody from the other high schools, but we're open to it, guys. We can have up to 5 liaisons.
And so Jennifer reached out at the beginning of the school year to Connolly and Pflugerville. And I think reached out again to Pflugerville twice, but
Okay.
we haven't got anybody yet.
My card's over here if y'all want it.
And I think that's it. Does anybody have anything else? If we could have a motion to adjourn?
My motion to adjourn?
Do we have a second?
Second.
All those in favor of adjourning, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay.
And can we give them a chance to ask a question?
Absolutely, yeah.
Y'all have
Before we
any
adjourn-
questions, or you just want to go home?
Are you guys all thinking about joining government? Okay, so as you can see, I've ran for school board. I've been an extensive history of an HOA president, stuff like that, and I don't look like a normal board member. So I usually wait to get on the board and let my mind speak for me as far as my look, because I'm in shorts, I'm wearing a hat, and usually if you're in government or a board, you're wearing a suit and tie and stuff like that. I can't stand dressing up. I really can't. But I love serving, and I love being part of the community and helping out like that. And so I gotta get in there, wiggle in there, and then let everybody see, what a great guy I am, a big teddy bear. And so that's how I usually get on the board. But what about some of the other board members? Why do you guys want to be on the library board?
Because it's tons of fun and it's the best board in the world.
Oscar, what do you think?
Thank you for asking. I was waiting for that. So I'm in the library board because one day I would like to have my own library. I really love the preservation of libraries. I would hate to see a future without them. I would hate to see where libraries are only accessible on the internet, because that defeats the whole purpose of it, I think. So I'm here for preservation and the ongoing life of libraries.
And Mia, what about not necessarily serving on the library board, but serving your community in general?
Yeah, so I actually work for a statewide nonprofit. That's my full-time job. And so I'm always giving back to communities, not just Pflugerville, but communities all across the state. I think it's important to spend time to figure out what makes communities great and what supports they need. Every single community is unique, and they all have unique needs. So really coming up, for me, what really brings me a lot of joy is co-creating solutions with communities, and in particular for the library, I think libraries, a lot like schools, are resource hubs, and they serve so many different purposes for the community. And so when you're able to come in and give your thoughts and opinions and feedback, you're able to make it stronger, not only for you, but for your neighbor, and even, your neighbor down the street you don't know.
You guys don't have any questions?
Okay.
What's your favorite part of being on the board?
My favorite part of being on the board is, I love hearing about all the programs, and I love hearing about how it affects people. So I like going to the events and seeing all the people at the events and how they enjoy it. I like meeting new people and socializing. So yeah, if you want to be in government, you got to have a pretty social personality. You got to be able to talk to just about anybody. You got to be able to listen, so that way, you know, they feel like they're being heard as well. Got to look at everybody in the eyes, and all you guys are doing great, boy. You guys are all making eye contact. Very nice.
Anything else? Okay, well, thank you guys for coming.
All right. So all those in favor of adjourning, say aye. Aye. Opposed, say nay. Motion carried.